Well, I'm calling this something evil. This way comes. I'm now calling for a recession. I don't see how it's possible that we can avoid it. I think a recession is definitely coming. It's time to prepare for it. There's things we can do. And let's talk about what's going on. Let's talk about my very first slide. Here's the culprit. Now, this is the April PPI, so not May. So I'm thinking May's probably even worse than the April one. But in April, the producer price index, where this all starts, was 11.2%. Now, that's going to translate into a much, much higher CPI because every time things gets changed, by the time it gets through the industrials and in manufacturing, a lot of the prices have increased. And this is going to be pretty significant. So this really has a lot of people concerned. We've been talking about the fact that you should have really 2 rentals in your portfolio if you're a baby boomer, just protect your purchasing power. And here's another reason. So, the 2 things that most people see is gasoline. And that, of course, is from oil. And oil has been on a tear. Continues to be on a tear, so you're going to see price of fuel to rise. And of course, fuel causes truckers to have more costs and shippers to have more costs. So that cost is going to continue because I do not see anywhere at the moment fuel costs going down. The other thing that's very, very visible for consumers, of course, is housing. Now, here's a little bit of a lag to this. Now, I'm not quite sure how much of a lag is really in these. This is from the Case-Shiller 20-city composite. This is for March, so it is a little bit of a lag. Now, we're seeing a lot of slowdown in the economy and in housing since March. Here in Phoenix, we've certainly seen a slowdown. Across the nation, we've seen a slowdown. But in March, we saw an increase of 2.2%. So that means that the price of homes on an annual rate was over 25%. And if you add up all the increases, it was over 21% year over year increase in homes. And this is very, very visible again for consumers because this affects their purchasing of a home. And of course, it affects their rental. And so when you have gasoline and rent going up, you have people get very, very anxious of this. Based on Phoenix here, we're still seeing prices go up. We're starting to see here in June, we're starting to see prices start to stabilize. Some of the pressure is coming off, but I wouldn't say we're backing up yet, but we're probably heading that way. Here's why I think that we're heading into a recession. For many months, I was saying that I thought they were going to see inflation moderate, and I thought we may have peaked. Now, I don't see it going away, but I think some of the momentum for inflation is gone. In Q2 of 2021, now we'd had the stimulus checks out. A lot of people had some pent-up buying demand. The economy was running at 12.2%. 9 months later, it's dropped 75%. We just got the Q1 right here, Q1 2022 statistics. It's down to 3.5%. Now that's better than a 70% decrease. That's much more sustainable. Now, I think we're going to start seeing this go sub 3% very, very quickly because the economy is reacting negatively to it. Now, this 3.5% is before any of the Federal Reserve increases in their interest rates. So it's dropped 70% on its own. And here we are getting some statistics from some of the big Federal Reserve districts. Here's the Federal Reserve out of Philadelphia. They're showing their business activity went down to 2.6. It was up over 20. I think it was like 20, 21, 22, and it dropped down to 2.6. That's a huge, huge, enormous miss because this is the Empire report out of the New York Fed. And New York is really a huge manufacturing hub, huge industrial hub, certainly a huge financial hub and mercantile hub, and it dropped like a rock. I mean, look at this. This is just like the bottom fell out. It dropped 36 points to a negative reading, a negative 11%. And again, there is a lag time to this, so it continues to go down. So now we're at a negative number. So I'm thinking we are really, really in trouble. Now, so much has been made about lumber, and it just got out of control. No question about that, it got out of control. But I'm going to tell you, in March, lumber peaked at 1,200. And here yesterday, I got it, it's 526. It's dropped 55% in 90 days. It peaked in March, typically runs between $350 and $400. So it's not much higher than normal, and it's continuing down. So I'm assuming this is going to go even lower. And again, we're looking at our charts. Look at this. Keep in mind, let me tell you again, this is April. Now, the lumber started dropping in March. This copper is kind of a international index, and of course they call it Dr. Copper because it is such a wonderful indicator as to what the health of the global economy is. And it peaked in April at 480, and again it's already down to $4.20 and heading down. Now it's dropped 15 to 20% in 60 days. It's dropping like a rock, which means that the health of the international economy is not good. It's declining. And it's also, copper is used in absolutely everything. When you see the price of copper start going down, that means that lots of things are slowing and slowing radically. Now keep this in mind. You can see we started from a pretty high unemployment rate. That unemployment rate kept coming down and down and down and down, and get down here to March. All of a sudden, jobless claims start picking up again. They leveled off here, and jobless claims have gone up. So we're starting to see more and more unemployment, which goes right along with the fact that we're seeing Empire State lose a lot of business. You can see it drop radically. Same thing is going on in Philadelphia. You can see that lumber is going down. These are going down for a reason. And here you were looking at the jobless claims that are up in May. This is a very, very recent statistic. So jobs are going away. So we're seeing prices of commodities come down. We're seeing jobs go away. That's telling me that radically that the economy is slowing pretty doggone quickly. And thank you, University of Michigan. They sent us their statistics for Consumer Sentiment Index. It's the worst in history. Consumers aren't buying. It means they're not going and buying sheets and towels. They're not going to the grocery store buying the extra things that they need. Only the necessities, which is bad news for the auto industry, bad news for the home industry, bad news for the home improvement industry, because things are slowing down. Again, you're seeing commodities come down, we're seeing jobs go away, and we're seeing consumer confidence drop. These are very, very bad indicators. Now, I touched on this on home builder sentiment. The home sentiment, if it gets any lower, we'll have to get a new chart because it's in negative territory. And not just by a little bit, it's in negative territory. A negative 78. It means that no one's going to be buying any single family homes anytime soon. First time home buyers are probably completely out of the marketplace. It's good for us in the investment business because we don't buy them for homes. We buy them as a compelling investment for ourselves. The builders are also in the same boat. They're getting concerned. They're not doing more development. They're not opening any more subdivisions, and they're limiting the amount of sales in those subdivisions. And of course, that's here in Phoenix, one of the great markets in the United States. But I'm sure that's happening in Texas, Florida. These are the big ones. If we start to see it, you have to know the rest of the country is. Now, so much is made by the fact that everybody thinks that the Federal Reserve, they're idiots. They just don't understand. They just can't grasp the economy. The people at this level at the Federal Reserve are brilliant. They know exactly what they're doing. They work at an extremely high level. They have better statistics than anybody, and they know exactly what they're doing. But I'm going to tell you that every time we enter into a tightening, into a recession that's already slowing down, and this economy is already slowing down. It's been slowing for a long time, for 9 or 10 months. When you tighten into an economy like that, 100% of the time you have a recession. And I think that recession is going to be coming upon us. Now, it takes us a while to recognize that we're in a recession, so keep that in mind. It'll probably take us next year to realize, oh yeah, we were in recession in May. If they continue increasing, we're going to really be into trouble. So now this is what I saw from, this was on the news. Zero had sent this over as well. Ben Bernanke was out on the media circuit, and he was kind of a mouthpiece for the Federal Reserve, jawboning up the fact that they're going to have higher interest rates. And he's calling it the Taylor rule. I'm not sure what the Taylor rule is, but it's suggesting that federal rates should be over 11%. Now, I think we're like 1.5%. And the economy is dropping like a rock. Just remember what happened to the New York Fed. It just plummeted. Now, if the Federal Reserve takes it to 11%, and they know this is a knowing, there's no game here. They know exactly what they're doing. If they take it to 11%, they will crush the economy. I don't see this going away. Now, I've been seeing commodities changing. You can see the prices coming down. We have a shortage here of housing. Unbelievable shortage. 4 to 5 million is pretty much, everybody just assumes that is a very, very good number. Now we have the millennials going into family formation. They're going to cause a lot of pressure on housing. We have people coming from the border. That's not a political statement, just saying we have 1 million people coming in across the border. They are all going to need a place to live. It's going to put enormous pressure on housing, and I don't see this going away. So as investors, it's really, really good for us because we're probably going to be entering into the best time ever to be leasing properties, because we're going to have tenants galore to lease it to, because everyone needs a place to live. So either they're going to buy or they're going to rent, and it looks like they're not buying at the moment, which means they're probably going to rent. So does that mean that you've missed your window of opportunity? I'm not sure. Again, what we need you to do is call us. There is no one size fits all for any of this. Now, the slowdown in the housing is not supported by my cycle research. Now, I could very well be wrong. I could absolutely be wrong. My model could, be wrong. These models work until they don't work, but it's not supported by either the economic model or the timing model. Neither one support a housing shortage. So now, is it time for you to sit on the sidelines? Well, on some things it is. This is time for you to start raising cash. Maybe you want to start limiting some of your spending. Let's build up your reserves. Let's think through any major purchase that you're going to make. Maybe you want to start thinking of limiting your driving. Do you need a new car? Well, you need to start thinking this through as to this is something that you want, maybe what car that you're going to want. But I'm not so sure it's absolutely time for you to sit in a sideline. It's time for you to really think through what you're doing. We're more than happy to help you with that. So I'm with West USA here in Phoenix, Arizona. They're a $5 to $6 billion firm. They do our back office work. They keep us in compliance. You're welcome to reach me at the corporate. Would love to talk with you. If you like my videos and get any kind of value out of them at all, give me a thumbs up. If you subscribe, that would really, really help with our logarithms. So if we can help in any way, we're going to have turbulent times. You're welcome to call us. Let's get together. It's confidential. We're more than happy to talk with you.